Niki Savva. Niki Savva is an Australian journalist, author, and former senior advisor to Prime Minister John Howard and Treasurer Peter Costello. Early life. Savva was born in the village of Coley, Cyprus. Her father Andreas emigrated to Melbourne, Australia, in 1951, and she followed with her mother Elpeniki and brother Stephen several years later. She grew up in Doveton, an outer suburb of Melbourne. She attended Doveton Primary and Doveton High School, where she was a prefect. Career and personal life. Savva started work as a journalist at the Dandenong Journal before moving to the Australian newspaper. In her early 20s, she moved to Canberra to work as a correspondent in the Canberra Press Gallery for the Australian and later for the Herald Sun and The Age. She also worked as the Washington correspondent for News Limited. The illness and death of her sister Christina at 43 caused Savva to reconsider her career in journalism in 1997, and she accepted a job offer from Federal Treasurer Peter Costello as his media advisor. She worked for Costello for 6 years before joining the staff of Prime Minister John Howard for 3 years on Howard's Cabinet Policy Unit. She resigned from the Australian in June 2021 when the paper opted to commission a column from Peter Credlin to run on the same day as Savva's. She joined the Melbourne Age and the Sydney Morning Herald the following month. Savva appears regularly as a panelist on the ABC Insiders program. Savva is married to Vince Wilcock, a Liberal political staffer. Political views. In a book about her time as an advisor to Peter Costello, and then to John Howard, Savva described herself as a conservative lefty. On the Liberal side of politics, she supported Costello's leadership ambitions over those of the more conservative Howard, and, later, Malcolm Turnbull's leadership ambitions over those of the conservative Tony Abbott. According to journalist Laurie Oakes, Savva said in 2011 that journalists can lie, but politicians shouldn't. As a journalist, I lied often, usually about my sources, but about other things, too. Journalists can and do get away with lying, politicians and staff can't. Nor should they. In 2016, her book The Road to Ruin, How Tony, based on Savva's access to Abbott and Credlin's colleagues, and devastating first-person accounts of what went on behind the scenes, it outlined the fall of the Abbott government, relating it to Abbott's closeness to his chief of staff, Peter Credlin. Savva was criticized by Abbott and Credlin, several journalists, and the ABC Media Watch for not contacting the subjects of her book for comment on its claims or giving them a right of reply. However, the book was hailed by many others as an exceptional piece of investigative journalism, with none of Savva's claims in the book having been disputed since its publication. Michael Gonder wrote in the Sydney Morning Herald, "It is a terrific book, but that's not the point here. The point is that Savva does not rely on anonymous sources for her examination of the relationship between Abbott and Peter Credlin. Her sources are named. They speak for themselves. We know who they are and where they worked, and we know the terms and circumstances of their relationships with books. References equals